And you know in many more discovering the events over the last century involving a person by the name of Elliot Nash. Much more to be revealed shortly. However, an untold story, this one coming to you from deep within the heart of the Capone Vault, is told by me. Real name? Tommy Malone. Also important is the kid that followed Capone around, as he had him document kinda his untold stories and the told ones, whatever he wanted him to say. What he didn't know is that he was never a kid. His condition led him to looking like one, and yes, he's aged since then, but for all practical purposes, just call him Shorty Malone. Well, kinda runs in the Malone family, greatness, you know. Anyway, goes like this. One day, day's not important, kinda, but Mr. Nash, before he was untouchable, led a much different life. He was touchable. Oh, and he touched. He was not always the straight-laced character that we've known him to become. No, rather in those days, it was a doll that broke his heart and set him on the path to good. Oh, she was a looker. Had a real heart for the fellas too, you know. Soldiers, hoods, and whatnot. But it was the heart of that young Elliot Nash that took these two jilted lovers to their side of the comic spectrum. Maybe that's why he cracked down so hard on those strippers. She broke his heart to a million pieces. It would have never worked, and they both knew it. Little did they know how it would all turn out. She goes on to silently pioneer not only the early softcore porn industry, but also her personal memoirs largely inspired the latter works of Masters and Johnson's. Take that from me. An angel, but not before helping successfully market the pre-code era. No Babylon there. She was also a successful early sex worker, ahead of her time. Viola Bella, given the name by Al Capone. A young Elliot Nash is torn between the pleasures of the flesh as a retreat for momentary love to replace what might be his one-day temporary life, temporary wife, and his strenuous duties as an upcoming federal agent. The hard drinking, Perry Mason style, that comes later. Another reason why he has such disdain for bootlegging. Plus a couple personal friends lost to moonshine. Yup, that's when he turned away from all of that. But before then, it was the beautiful Viola Bella. Older than her years and younger than them in her later ones, just like St. Clair, who had a similar history. Viola was an interesting mix of mulatto and Italian. You see, even though she calls Earl Father Hines Pops, her real father is Al Capone. Her mother, Stella Page. I forgot. You need to know that story first. Well, history remembers Al getting syphilis at age 17. However, it was much earlier, when he was 13, that he met Stella Page. She was older than him, 19 at the time, and she had been around. She was walking near the schoolyard one day when she saw young Al beating up 3 kids who were roughhousing a young girl. Stella watches with glee this. Young Al, after beating up the kids, says really W.C. Field style, "Yeah, getting away from me, kids. You bother me, you bother me." The young damsel in distress kisses young Al on the cheek, foreshadow, who at this point blushes, then makes a cutesy-eyed face. Stella still watches. The young girl excitedly leaves. As Stella says, "My, what a big man. I'm impressed." Young Al says, "Why, thank you, ma'am. I didn't know no one was watching." Stella says I prefer ma'am. Well, I sure was, and I'm very impressed. Want to know why? Yeah, why? It turned me on. He gives her a gift later known as Bella. Stella Bella, after he finds out she's beautiful, just like you. And Stella gives him a gift. That's right, the one that he keeps giving. The scene could end there, but the extended version shows a short conversation with Stella explaining to Al that she became so instantly aroused as she herself had been the victim of a rape, but such at the hands of a group of young thugs herself, and didn't make it out the shame, which turned her to a life of prostitution. But she's still a lady, and he a gangster legend in the making. Young Al himself was heard to say, "If I was there," Stella would have said, "What have you done? What would you have done, Al?" Al looks around the play yard, sees the baseball mound, and says, "I would have beat those fucking assholes with a bat, one by one, until they was all dead," and starts to cry. Wrong fluid, Al. Wait for it. Foxy, Elliot Ness, and young Viola Page. Like her mom, Stella, but not really, rather sympathetic of her mom for just being a good mom, trying to make the best of her circumstances and raise her, along with her twisted struggles to fit in as a mulatto phantom. Only Capone, her mom, and she knew who she was at the time, and me, Tommy Malone, along with Shorty, and of course, young, sweet Tommy, and Jimmy. These events led Viola at a very early age to follow in the footsteps of her mom, leading us to a young Elliot Ness and Viola, now 14. After a case gone terribly wrong, there was nothing better than a nice bottle going terribly right. Right there in Springthatch, some would-be first-time moonshiners became defaulted by Ness, who was sent there as a grunt work. This is before Ness's big bootlegging days. Ness stumbles out for action and finds it not far down the street. Case is over. Nothing going on here till Monday. Here it is, 8:30 p.m. downtown Illinois. Not driving like this, Ness. Let's check out some of the local action. And there she is, glowing like a neon beacon on 5th Street as it started to rain. "Oh, this is my Ithaca." "Hey, soldier, where's the rest of your uniform?" says a disheveled Viola to a mostly drunken Ness. The rain increases, as do sounds of pigeons from Main Street, hearing the rain moving in. Ness says, "I ain't no soldier." "Well, you can't call it that." Viola replies, "Well, what can you call it?" Ness says, Achoo! It falls forward onto Viola on purpose, and she lets him. Ness exclaims, "I'm sorry." Viola holds him, looking at him now, saying, "I'm not," and kisses him passionately. The next morning, they're having continental breakfast in the lobby of the hotel. Ness discovers, after falling madly in love with her and wanting to run off with her, eventually getting married, that she's only 14. Oops, Elliot. And she knows who her father is. Double oops, and now so does Ness, who replies, "Oh, hell no, you never told me."
You said you wanted to know.
You said you wanted to know how to get Capone.
Do you really want to go?
Do you really want to get him?
You see what I'm saying?
You see what I'm saying?
prepared to do?
What are you prepared to do?
Everything within the law.
Everything
And then
with-
what are you prepared to
And
do?
then what are you prepared to do?
If you open the ball on these people, Mr. Nash, you must be prepared to go all the way.
To go all the
Because they
way.
won't give up the fight until one of you is dead.
I want to get Capone. I don't know how to get him.
You want to get Capone?
Here's how you get him.
He pulls
With
a
a
knife.
knife,
You
you
pull
pull
a
a
gun.
gun.
You send one of
He
yours
goes to the hospital.
You send one of his
He's
to
to
the
the
morgue.
morgue.
That's
Go away.
that's how you get Capone.
Or you can push him off a roof like you do Nitty.
Do you want to do that? Are you ready
Ready to do that? Do you know what a blood oath is, Mr. Nash?
I'm making you a deal.
Do you know what a blood oath is, Mr. Nash? Do you know what a blood oath is, Mr.
I
Nash?
have sworn to put this man away with any and all legal
Just
means at
take
my
it one.
disposal, and I will do so.
Do you know what the blood oath is, Mr. Nash?
No. The Lord hates a coward.
He loves a good martini, though. Shaken, not stirred. Do you catch my drift?
Do you know what a blood oath is, Mr. Ness?
Yes.
Good. Because you just took one.
Omerta. I was, like Charlie Chan in Egypt. Somehow, the sugar had gotten to my teeth, see? So that's why I had wild eyes. It was the sugar.
Please tell me if you
Elliot Ness. With reports from stakeouts on the north and west side and surveillances of the metro.
Thank you, Lieutenant. Thank you.
Nobody move!
This is a raid!
Everybody into the
What are you doing here? All this stuff is impounded. You're all under arrest. Hey, this isn't right. Hey, this is no good. You got a warrant. Sure, here's my warrant. Oh! How do you think he feels now? Better or worse?